Yeah, so let me think. Last year around May, we were doing like 30, 40 sometimes. And now we just came off the back of our biggest month. We did 130K. And with the stuff that we've implemented, I think we're set to clear 200K the next month. Like I've been able to travel the world and really enjoy. Like I bought my first Rolex. I've been able to, help my mom and my dad to whatever extent that they need. And that's ultimately the reason that I came into business. So being able to sit here and reflect on that and say like, I'm able to do that now, it really is like just reflecting on it makes me feel really proud. Yeah, I think just being able to live the life that I always kind of dreamed of, um, and looking back on like the struggle and saying like, oh, it was worth it. I have a proof of concept. I can actually do this now. Um, that's probably the biggest thing. I'd say that if you stumbled across Kiri for whatever reason, and he's in a position where he could help you, um, take it. Not because um, not because of the results, but because the results are gonna come regardless. But because of the fashion that it comes in, he doesn't just get you to a revenue goal. He teaches you how to get there and then also gets you there so that you know every step of the way what's happening and then how to recreate that success for, you know, whatever reason. Like let's say you want to start another business, you can take all the stuff that you learned from Kiri, from working with Kiri, into another thing, or even just take that and help others, or just, take that and build off it and help yourself.
Habas, great to have you here. Appreciate your time. So let's quickly tell the people who you are and what do you do.
Yeah, my name's Abbas. I am the co-founder of wtih Training. I do all of the marketing, the sales, the operations, the back end of the not so pretty stuff of wtih Training.
Yeah, and because ZTH training is a soccer accelerator. It teaches, I would say, younger people to get into soccer correctly. So you have a very unique demographic, which I think most marketers wouldn't be able to tackle. Lower ticket product, but mass volume. So how many students do you have right now?
Yeah, so right now, as of today, we have around 3,600. I think 3,650 is like the number right now. Um, yeah, 3,650 students. And yeah, we basically just help young footballers age around like 13 to 18, get better at football, become a standout player, and ultimately sign for a professional academy.
That's great. And we've been working together for like quite a long time now, like over 8 months, I believe, maybe a year.
I think it's been a year, yeah. I think I first reached out to you. Actually, it's funny. I reached out to you because a friend told me like, "Hey, this is the guy that you want to speak to for product." And that's the first kind of like touch point that we had. You didn't have at that time you didn't have like a book a call funnel. You didn't have anything that I saw. So the only thing that you had was a newsletter. And I signed up for the newsletter, saw you sent an email, responded to the email right away, and I was like, "Hey, like this is what I do. Can I get on a one-on-one and do you offer mentorship?" And then, yeah, that was about a year ago.
That's great. And when we started working together, how much revenue were you doing then, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, so let me think. Last year around May, we were doing like 30, 40 sometimes. And now we just came off the back of our biggest month. We did 130K. And with the stuff that we've implemented, I think we're set to clear 200K the next month.
That's amazing. So tell me then,
Hopefully very,
like,
very soon.
yeah, hopefully. I think they're definitely going to hit that. And I think we spoke just before this call, and you were telling me when we started working together, you actually didn't know that much about marketing. So we kind of like built this, like, built you from 30 to over 100K a month kind of together when I taught you everything. Tell people that journey of what we done together, how we done it, and how it helped you grow the business. Almost like triple the business, more than triple.
Yeah, I can't lie. The best part of working with Kiri is just the knowledge base and like the stuff that he knows, because he's been in the industry for so long and worked with so many different people. He's able to like really break down concepts in a super digestible way. So when I first started working with him, like I was even telling him like I didn't even know what an upsell was. I didn't know what a cross sell was. Like I was such a noob. Okay, I didn't know what a downsell was, and he'd walk me through that and basically taught me how to implement it. What gave me like the frameworks, the structures to install it into my business, the positioning, the framing of all of it, and yeah, it took me from I mean, from a year ago, I literally knew nothing about marketing, sales, offer creation, copywriting, anything like that. And now, like, to put it into perspective, we had like a 100,000 person email list at the time of us first connecting, and we weren't even sending any emails. So, now
A,
obviously we do daily emails, but
a lot of low
it's
hanging fruit to opt. Yeah, I think when we started working together, there was a lot of things I discovered in your business. How many IG, how much traffic are you getting on IG, for example?
right now we're doing about like 100 million views a
Exactly.
month.
So even 130K a month is small. We both know that already. So there's 300K a month, 400K a month, 500K a month. That's all on the table. Once because slowly we're iterating things. So but when we worked together, one of the things I realized about your business is you had the occasional launch and the occasional event, and you were doing that. I think you were kind of, and this is a lot from a lot of my clients feel this. I think you were kind of scared to oversell to your audience a little bit, and you weren't even doing the email marketing. So you had kind of like evergreen funnels, what people are just kind of always buying. Talk about how the additional events that you're starting to run now have really scaled your business, and how we worked through that together to really cement it.
Yeah, so what we sell is like a 397 evergreen. It's a lifetime training program and it's evergreen. So we sell all the time and because of the demographic and because of the offer, it's super tough, or at least I thought it was super tough to break into these multiple six-figure months because like, oh, our audience doesn't have that much money, they're little kids, whatever, whatever. Um, but then we ran a sale or like an event that we call it, and our revenue exploded. Um, and I sat down with Kiri and we broke down why that was and how we can replicate the success. And just having a couple of conversations about the event specifically, the next event we were able to do double that. And every event that we run an event monthly now. Because the reason we wouldn't do that in the first place was because I thought I was going to sophisticate our audience by like constantly selling to them and saying like, hey, like there's this new sale, there's this new offer, like there's a new discount, and then they're just gonna be like, oh, like this guy just keeps spamming the same stuff, and then it wouldn't be as effective. Now, through actually testing it, I realized that's not the case, and every time that we do an event, people actually like us more because we're giving them a better opportunity to join and learn and et cetera, et cetera. It actually helps the goodwill of the channel as well, and obviously we make a bunch of money off the back of it.
Yeah. And so when you like before you start working with me, what would you say that was like the biggest pain points you had and struggles in business?
Um, I just didn't really know much. Like, I first reached out to you to help us with our product, because our refund rate was super high, and I wanted to learn about how to reduce refunds. As part of our offer, we offer a 30-day money back guarantee, and I told you that, and you were like, oh, this is our refund rate at the time. And you're like, oh, like if you keep up with that refund rate, your payment process is going to shut you down because it was such a high refund rate. And then that was like a paradigm shift for me. I was like, oh shit, I gotta like lock in. And then I worked with you. We brought that down all the way. I think it's below 7% now. Um, below 7%
Do you
refund
remember
rate.
where it was? Because I remember it was high enough where, well, like for example, like bro, like I've got probably the lowest churn rate on school, right? But refunds are scary because they can destroy a business. So do you remember it's 7% now, which is below the 10%. Anything below 10% churn is great. I know this is refunds, but kind of similar principle. But like, it was like 20%. It was really high before. It was ridiculously
Yeah,
high.
it was more than double that. So when we first started talking in May, we were getting like bombarded with people who were just like not happy with the product or like they would come in and then it was just a little lackluster in terms of experience and then we worked on also the experience side of things, but also the result side of things to help people, get the promise that we're basically promising them, get the result out of that. So when we first started working, it was at like at least double 7%. It was
Yeah.
around 16 to it
I think it was
varied
like
month to
16 to
month.
20, if I remember.
Yeah, it was like 16 to 20, but now it's at 7.
Do you remember? It's been so long ago, but do you remember exactly what we done to reduce it?
So, first of all, we implemented tracking to see like why people are refunding. So every time somebody would ask for a refund, we would ask them why, get them to
That
fill a
was it.
little questionnaire and see of course like the reason for the refund, and then based off that feedback, we would go in and make changes to the product. But then on top of that, we also just implemented retention techniques into the product that kept people excited and engaged. So we would do like milestones. We would get the students to actually track their own like habits, and like we would go in and be like, hey, what are your struggles with this? Can we check in with you? How can we help you with this certain aspect of the product? And then yeah, that just
And then
helped
like
a ton.
half in the refund rate is huge, but I'd still believe to this day if you hadn't contacted me to fix the refund rates, I genuinely think your shit would have got shut down. Like
Yeah.
20% refund is like even 7% is still high. We've got to work on that. But like 20% is like Stripe would shut you down. And that's like very bad, you know?
Yeah.
So
So when you told me that, I was like, okay,
fucking yeah.
let me let me lock in and fix this problem.
How did it make you feel having that many that such a high refund rate? Like when I told you that.
Well, I didn't know it was that big of a problem. So I
Mm.
was just like chilling. I was like, oh, like there's this refund rate problem, and I know it's a problem, but it's like I guess it wasn't that big of a issue for me at the time. But then you said like, yeah, you're gonna get your payment processor shut down. At the time, like we didn't have anybody else, or we didn't have any other like payment processor access apart from Stripe. Um, so we didn't really know how to go from there, and like moving things over, we would have to upend our whole system. So, um, yeah, at the moment I didn't know, and then you told me, I was like, okay, this is like a massive issue that we have to con
So what would you say is give me the top few most important either pieces of information I gave you or like mindset transformation shifts? Because as I said, you guys you get lots of impressions, big email list, lots of potential, but you were doing 30K a month, which is nothing in my world, you know? So what did I teach you that was the biggest cause of you getting to that 100K plus month?
Damn, where do I start? I mean, I'd say the biggest thing is just like in terms of revenue drivers, because there's a lot of like sides to that. There's like the things that we worked on that generated us revenue, and then there's the things that we worked on that helped me personally become a better marketer and salesman and stuff like that. In terms of revenue, I would say it was just like really sitting down and doing a deep dive with the events and seeing how we can improve the conversion system, like really looking at the VSL copy, really looking at the landing page copy, really looking at like the traffic sources and the messaging that we have coming into the landing page, and then when we have the offer and how we present it and how we actually structure the offer, because you taught me that was like the most important thing when it comes to these discounts and these events and sales. So really just like having access to you to just be able to be like, hey, Kiri, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Can you review this? And just like picking your brain on every level of that sale. I think that's why we were able to like 5x the business in as short as a time that we did.
And how about you though? Like we've had to do a lot of work, I think, on your abilities as a business person, your person, because you're a very young dude. Like you're doing amazing for your age. Like you're under, was it 21?
Yeah, I'm 21, yeah.
So like we've had to do. You were 20 when you met me, I think. So like, what have you? How have you developed, and how have I helped you develop into the person who can hit over a million a year? You're doing over a million a year now at 21, which is amazing. So like, how have I helped you become that person?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of um and Kiri knows this, but there was a lot of like inner turmoil that I had in terms of like being really scared to test things, because I'd be like the situation that we were in with the business was this was the only way that I was making money, and I was really afraid to touch it because if I did and something broke, everything could have been crumbling, and then I would, the worst case scenario would have happened. So that was my thinking behind it. But the biggest shift that you told me was like, bro, just try it, and if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. And just helping me get over those like internal beliefs of like fear of failure, and like helping me overcome that, I think has really pushed the business forward. Apart from obviously the technical things of teaching me the nuances behind marketing and copywriting and all of that, it's really just been like helping me overcome my inner beliefs and inner workings behind testing things and making shit better. Because if we never got that out of the way, then none of this would have happened.
Yeah, great that. So was there any specific moment? Because like you came to me via recommend or referral, right? But was there any moment when you were like, "Fuck, we need help," or like any moments throughout the whole engagement where you're like, because you were with over a year now, I'm pretty sure. So like, why have you worked with me for so long? Because most coaches, most my business, right? Most I have a long LTV. Most people don't get to work with people for so long. So why have you say work with me? And probably for the next billion years we're gonna work together. Why is that the case? Why should people trust me? Is what I'm trying to say.
I think that's why, because every time I message Kiri, he's back, within the day or within the hour sometimes. And um, just having that access to somebody who basically has all of the answers to your problems or can get answers to all of your problems, it's game changing. And that's
Yeah.
probably why we've been working together for so long.
And what advice would you give to someone who was stuck at your old level at 30K a month in your info world?
Work with Kiri.
All right. Cool. What about a bit boring than that? Oh, that is the case. But imagine that I wasn't available. What advice would you give them? I'm curious what someone at 30K a month in your position, what you would say to them, like in reality, to get to that next level.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid because at the end of the day, if you are the type of person who can make $30,000 a month, even if you were to lose it, regardless of if you lost it, you can still make it all back and then some, probably. So don't be afraid to test. Don't be afraid to, obviously within reason, don't just uproot your entire business, but iterate, test, try things. And if they don't work, um, actually, there's a funny story. There was a one day we ran a webinar and it didn't work because because I basically just like messed up the entire process of like the tech setup and like the checkout didn't even work. Okay. Um, and because we tested that webinar, we realized like, okay, webinars don't work for our audience. After the webinar, everybody flamed us on Discord and like said like, our audience basically just cooked us, right? And because we tested that webinar, we learned, okay, live presentations aren't the way. So at least I got over that fear of testing it, if that makes sense. But my point is, don't let your fear come in the way of growing your business.
I really love that, dude. I really love that. So then, what do you think the next revenue goal? 200K a month?
Yeah, I think for our next launch, I think that's the next one because it's super attainable. I think if we just dialed in a couple of things on the conversion side of things, the content side of things is already cooking. The email side of things we got down. It's just maybe the VSL and the positioning of the offer. If we just make that a little bit stronger, I think we can clear 200K easy.
Easily. And then after that, easy sailing. So, what is possible for you now, 1 year later, that wasn't possible for you when we first started working together?
I mean, obviously, just making that type of money, like I've been able to travel the world and really enjoy. Like I bought my first Rolex. Um, I've been able to, help my mom and my dad to whatever extent that they need. And that's ultimately the reason that I came into business. So being able to sit here and reflect on that and say like, I'm able to do that now, it really is like just reflecting on it makes me feel really proud. Obviously, there's still a lot of goals that I have now, and I've worked with Kiri to kind of develop those for myself. So I keep growing and keep pushing. But yeah, I think just being able to live the life that I always kind of dreamed of, um, and looking back on like the struggle and saying like, oh, it was worth it. I have a proof of concept. I can actually do this now. Um, that's probably the biggest thing.
I appreciate it, man. It's really makes me it's really touching, man, like to hear that stuff. That's why I do this. It's so fun. Um, is there any last thoughts you'd give to someone who is like seeing my content online or gets referred to us? Like, if you were saying to them, there's one thing I want to leave with why you should work with our business, like Kiri's business, like what would you say to them?
I'd say that if you stumbled across Kiri for whatever reason, and he's in a position where he could help you, um, take it. Not because um, not because of the results, but because the results are going to come regardless. But because of the fashion that it comes in, he doesn't just get you to a revenue goal. He teaches you how to get there and then also gets you there so that you know every step of the way what's happening and then how to recreate that success for, you know, whatever reason. Like let's say you want to start another business, you can take all the stuff that you learned from Kiri, from working with Kiri, into another thing, or even just take that and help others, or just, take that and build off it and help yourself. It's
So
just like,
so it's the old thing. Teach them how to fish and not give them the fish. I make you into the entrepreneur that can build a business in any to a seven
yeah,
figure business in any vertical, basically.
exactly. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. It's like Kiwi doesn't give you fish, he teaches you how to fish, so you're fed for life.
Dude, I love that. Habas, really appreciate your time and let's continue to crush it together.
Yes, sir.